Let's listen to this. Have you felt tension in this chord and release in this chord? If so, you've uncovered one of the most important ear training secrets, the feeling. When approached effectively, ear training is a multi-step process. The first step involves listening to a sound and paying attention to the feeling it evokes. Then the next step is forming a mental association between that feeling and the music theory concept corresponding to the sound, or also the related pattern on your instrument, or other relevant elements, if desired. The great thing is that once this association is formed, you will not only be able to recognize the sound upon hearing it, but it will also work in reverse. Thinking of the music theory concept will evoke its feeling, and that feeling will trigger the corresponding sound in your head. Similarly, visualizing the pattern on your instrument will make the notes magically appear in your mind. By the way, that's how you learn to improvise. However, this entire mechanism fails completely if you neglect feelings. Feelings are the only bridge that allows us to understand music. While it's often overlooked, the importance of feelings in your training isn't the main secret I'm unveiling. I'll reveal a much bigger and unknown secret involving musical feelings that you can use to revolutionize your ear training and unlock a natural, intuitive understanding of music. In this video, I'll show you how this secret makes the most popular ear training exercises harmful for beginner and intermediate students like you, but beneficial for advanced ones. This is by far the main obstacle to improving your training skills for musicians. But I know you're thinking, why should I listen to your advice on ear training? Honestly, I dislike talking about myself and don't want to seem boastful. However, learning more about me might encourage you to pay closer attention to what I have to say. I am Leonardo Caminati, and a few years ago, I personally developed a unique, science-based ear training method. This method has attracted over 2,000 students, and the feedback has been incredible. Students rated this method as excellent on Trustpilot, scoring 4.5 out of 5. Music college teachers have not only praised the method, but also integrated it into their classes. Some students think it's so revolutionary that I might go down in history for it. While I can't predict the future, I certainly remember the journey that led me here. It was one of struggles, obstacles, and very difficult challenges. I started playing guitar at 15, dedicating hours daily to practice, with a significant focus on ear training. Within 3 to 4 years, my guitar abilities had dramatically improved. But my ear training showed little to no progress. By my mid-20s, despite dedicated practice, I still struggled with basic ear training, like distinguishing major and minor thirds. Then I got the chance to join a band with musicians skilled in ear training. One day we were heading to a show and I was practicing intervals on my phone when a bandmate with an excellent ear told me, "Don't bother practicing intervals. They are useless and ineffective." It was my first encounter with someone questioning the effectiveness of traditional ear training. I didn't fully understand the advice though. I persisted with intervals for months, maybe years. Then, one day, I realized that after a decade of practicing in the traditional way, I had hardly improved. Despite my consistent efforts, melodies, chords, and intervals remained extremely challenging, if not impossible, to discern. Losing hope, I thought I might never progress because I lacked talent. In my worst moment, I wondered, Is there a better way to learn ear training than traditional exercises? Could my practice method be the problem? This started a deep research into the science behind ear training, and what I found was eye-opening, a game-changing secret that laid the foundation for a revolutionary approach to ear training. To understand this secret, we should ask an important question. What generates the sensations of notes and chords? Most of you would probably say, well, intervals, the distance between the notes, that's obvious. And this is where things go wrong. Scientific research shows it's actually tonality, not intervals, that is responsible for the feelings of notes and chords. Indeed, the same intervals can evoke different emotions depending on the key, as musical sensations stem from a note's or chord's role within the key's structure. Let's delve deeper into this. You're probably aware that the musical key is present in any song you listen to. What may be new to you is how this key forms a gravitational-like field with a stable, resolved tonic note at its center. Other notes gravitate toward the center, varying in tension based on their position in the field. This dynamic creates diverse sensations in each note and chord, such as tension, resolution, happiness, sadness, etc. Let's take a single note, B for example, and see how it changes in different keys. In C major, B feels tense, almost like it's leading up to C. But in its own key, B major, B is completely stable and peaceful. This shows that a note's emotional quality isn't about intervals, but its place in the key. Similarly, also the same interval can assume a totally different feeling depending on its place within the key. The issue with traditional ear training lies in its heavy focus on isolated intervals, ignoring the key's gravitational field effect. As mentioned earlier, feelings are the essential bridge allowing us to recognize musical elements. Yet, the same interval may evoke varied feelings based on its role in the gravitational field. This sounds very much like trying to recognize a CIA agent wearing different masks all the time. This strategy inevitably leads to confusion, failure, and frustration, especially when applying it to real music, where the key's gravitational field is always present. Indeed, being skilled at interval-based exercises doesn't mean you recognize melodies and chords in real songs. This realization shifts our training emphasis from intervals to recognizing the sound of notes and chords within the key, a method intuitively used by the great musicians we admire the most. As my colleague said, don't bother with intervals. We'll explore later how interval ear training can be useful in some cases, but for most musicians, it's far more of an hindrance than a help, especially for beginners and intermediates. Next, we'll see how to weave this understanding into your practice. This is going to be the foundation for a second secret I'm about to reveal, which can have far more impact on your skills than the one I've just shared. A crucial yet mostly overlooked aspect of the gravitational force is its omnipresence. It doesn't require playing an entire scale to manifest. Every time we hear a single note, chord, interval, melody, or any musical sound in general, our brain automatically fits them into this gravitational field. This has been clearly shown by scientific findings too. Imagine a simple scenario. We play the notes C and E. In the absence of other musical stimuli, our mental gravitational field would naturally position these as the first and third degrees of a major scale, aligning with the familiar structure of the major key. As such, C is going to assume the stable and resolved feeling typical of the first degree, and E the feeling of the third degree. But here is where it gets fascinating. This field is not static. It's highly dynamic, influenced by expectations set by the notes we have heard and expectations set by the additional notes we are going to hear. Let's see this in action. First, if we introduce notes like F sharp and D after playing C and E, watch how the gravitational field shifts. Now, G becomes the new first degree. I bet you can feel that it has become the most stable and resolved note, replacing C, right? This recontextualizes C as the fourth and E as the sixth degree. Let's see an alternative twist. If we introduce B flat and A instead, the field adapts again. F becomes the new first degree, indicating that our mind shifted to perceiving the key of F major. Now F is the most stable note. You can probably see how we can't turn off the gravitational field. Our perception of notes, chords, intervals, etc. is always influenced by it, whether we are consciously aware of it or not. To the extent that musical thinking simply cannot exist without the presence of this gravitational field. To unveil the second secret, I must illustrate how beginners and intermediates process interval exercises in comparison to advanced students. This part often leads to some haha moments, so stick with me. Let's consider a typical scenario for interval recognition exercises, such as playing a major third interval from C to E. In this scenario, and in absence of other musical stimuli, C and E are perceived as the first and third degrees of the C major scale, fitting naturally into its gravitational field, which is stable and easy to navigate. Next, we introduce a random interval, F sharp to D sharp. These notes don't align with the C major field, creating uncertainty and disrupting the gravitational field. Since the field has been disrupted, there is no longer a clear sense of tension and resolution as there was before. The student now struggles to navigate and orient themselves within this disrupted field because it feels unfamiliar, and they cannot recognize the notes, which have assumed unfamiliar feelings as well. As the exercise continues with more random intervals, the gravitational field becomes even more blurred, unpredictable, and fuzzy, making it impossible for the student to clearly experience the feeling of these notes. This obviously prevents the student from associating the musical element to its feeling, which is the single most important step in training your ear. Let's now contrast this with an advanced student's brain. For an advanced student, the C to E interval is straightforward. When F sharp and D sharp are introduced, the advanced student's ability to quickly reset and reframe the gravitational field comes into play. A skill not yet developed by beginners and intermediates. This reframing happens involuntarily and subconsciously, preventing the gravitational field from becoming unclear. Once the gravitational field has been redefined, advanced students can easily perceive this interval as having the sensation of a minor third, like that between the first and sixth degrees of the F sharp key. A very important point I want to emphasize is that it's the position of the notes within the field that infuses the notes with their specific feeling. If you can't quickly reframe the gravitational field as an advanced student can, you will never experience that interval as resembling a minor third. It just doesn't evoke that feeling for you because you are contextualizing it within a different gravitational field. That's what our students are saying too. So, recognizing random intervals isn't merely about identifying the distance between notes. It's mostly a direct result of the skill to fluidly reframe the gravitational field, moving seamlessly from one key to another within your mind. This ability to swiftly reframe and reset the gravitational field is an advanced skill that can only be honed after mastering numerous foundational skills. For beginners and intermediates, practicing interval exercises prematurely can actually hinder skill development because it makes the gravitational field fuzzy and unfamiliar. If you can't easily recognize simple tonal melodies and chord progressions by ear alone without using any musical instruments to help, it's way too early to engage in interval exercises. What does a simple tonal melody or chord progression sound like? Here's an example. If you struggle to recognize by ear alone the chords and notes I've just played, it's vital to focus on strengthening your skills in simple tonal contexts with a clear gravitational field before diving into intervals. I know, you're still waiting for the second secret, aren't you? Here it is. Developing your training skills is a gradual, step-by-step process, like developing any other skill is. The problem lies in the common starting points, such as initially practicing with shorter intervals believed to be easier, and then progressing to larger ones. This approach is misleading and outright incorrect. I've explained how and why interval-based exercises are unsuitable for beginners and intermediate students. So the real secret to your training success lies in accurately assessing your current skill level within this new paradigm of the gravitational field. Once you've determined your current level of familiarity with the field and your ability to navigate it, you can tailor a practice routine specifically designed to match it. This approach will likely revolutionize your practice routine, introducing a wide array of new exercises that prioritize skills such as pitch matching, tonic recognition and retention, scale degree and chord degree recognition, short-term musical memory, and many other foundational skills that you may not have previously practiced. By embracing this fresh perspective, you can significantly accelerate your musical growth and understanding, just as I and thousands of my students have experienced. Even more so if your current training isn't yielding the desired results. As Einstein famously said, insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. But that's not all. By fully taking advantage of the secrets shared in this video, you'll soon find yourself transcribing notes and chords by ear and vastly improve your musicality without even mastering interval exercises. Interestingly, interval recognition naturally arises from this approach, as it relies on your ability to sense and reset the gravitational field. I'm sure you're wondering, okay, how can I evaluate my current skill level then? Well, our free-year training workshop is here to assist you with that and more. You'll find the link in the description section below. This workshop offers an immersive, self-paced experience tailored to help you precisely assess your current ear training abilities and identify specific areas of improvement. You'll be guided through a series of carefully designed exercises suitable for various skill levels and also delve deeper into the science of ear training, an area I've only briefly touched upon here. Additionally, you'll receive personalized exercises to practice right away. And the best part, it's all absolutely free for now. These exercises and concepts are taken from the Use Your Ear method, an ear training approach developed after my struggles with traditional methods and extensive research into the science of musical pitch perception. The effectiveness of this method, adopted by over 2,000 students, is showcased on our website through videos highlighting their improvements within just months. So why wait? Click the link in the description, join our free workshop, and start enhancing your ear training skills and musical intuition today.